Hello, everyone. Thanks again for all your patience. I've been pretty busy. God, I've been using that excuse a bit too much lately. But never mind. Anyway, the reason why this is episode 0 and not episode 1 is because I need to explain things first before I start. Anyway, before I get into more about the book, I'm going to be reading out the story. And those numbered episodes are just going to be regular numbers, like episode 1, 2, 3, 4. And each episode's going to be about 10 minutes. But at the end of that, there's also going to be another episode, for example, 1.5 or 2.5. Now, in those episodes, those are the ones where I'm talking about what I've read out in the episode before it. I've done it this way so that if people want to ignore my commentary, they can just listen to the whole book in like a playlist setting. And vice versa, if they just want to hear the commentary. Now, I'm not putting this on YouTube for it to be edited. I have several books on the way, and I do have some professional editors, but this is honestly a book I really couldn't feel would be published in its current state, so I might as well put it on here for people to enjoy. And it's a lot different than the book I'm actually publishing. If anybody has clicked the link. But aside from that, let me get to the story at hand. Anyway, I showed you a big red binder last time. Let's see if you can see the cover. It's called Human Remains. Now, I put the S there for a special reason and spelled remains backwards because it could be either viewed as humans remain or human remains. So I felt that it would be a nice way of having a glass half full or half empty. Now, this wasn't actually the original title. In fact, this title, Human Remains, was actually for a different story I was working on a long time before that. It was really just a few short stories that was essentially sci-fi. But I benched that for a bit, and then I worked on this, and didn't have a title for it until the end. So I stole the title from my earlier story, and came back to put it on this one. But after this one, which ended up getting benched because it feels unpublishable, I ended up doing a good 40 pages of the earlier story, making and planning it into a whole novel. So I'm kind of stuck in this quantum title thing going on, where both of them are completely separate and unrelated, but have the same title. Anyway, it might turn out that neither of them get published, so anyway. For the sake of these videos, I'm just going to be calling it Human Remains. Now, this red binder was the first version I had printed out, unedited and everything. It's really just 204 pages. Let's see if we can get it in the camera here. Single-sided, double-spaced. Well, that might not be double-spaced. I can't remember. And oh man, that took me all day of printing. That was really fun. But actually, a while later, I went to Staples and got a copy printed out. Now, this one is in fact double-spaced and double-sided. And hopefully a lot... Well, it's the same story. But this feels really great. And the cover was actually done in paint with an old photo my dad had of an abandoned ammunitions factory in Scotland. So I just took the photo, scanned it, and put the title on it and everything. So anyway, I'm going to be starting the next episode, which is just going to be reading it out. after that, almost immediately, I'm going to post up episode 1.5, which will have my commentary on this. Now, before I start reading, this story inspired me. No. The events of Hurricane Katrina was what inspired me to write this book. And sorry if I'm scatterbrained. I got a final tomorrow, and I'm trying to do a whole bunch of stuff at once. Anyway, the whole thing that really bugged me was that people for 2 whole weeks at that stadium in New Orleans didn't get any help, and it turned into utter chaos. So my whole process of thinking was, what if that happened to Canada and help didn't come for a year? And that year later is where my story starts. Although the problem was I never really defined what disaster happened, and in a sense, while I was writing it, I kind of wanted to keep it vague. Although I had a really interesting idea for if it was going to be a series. For the 3rd book, which was going to reveal everything, and God, it's such a twist. It's not even normal. My original idea was that, not so much the original idea. The original idea was that it was just a storm that hit, or an earthquake or something. But that, say, in the 3rd book, it was really just, what was it? It was actually a disease, a manufactured biological weapon that would just make people rage and go berserk, and it spread across the city or the world, but it only lasted for a day, and that was enough to do enough damage. Now, after thinking that up, even I thought it was crazy, and scrapped that idea, because in the end, it really had no relevance to the rest of the story. Anyway, yeah, I hope you guys like this. You can put your own comments and own commentaries down in the comment section. But remember, this was written years ago by me. This was the first novel I'd ever finished. Although there was one I'd written way before this that I cannot find anymore. It was essentially about 4 kids who get stuck in a in a beta testing for an online game, and a virus gets into it. God, that was only 40 pages long, and still never finished it. Anyway, next episode's going to be coming up in a day or two. See you then.